Hey, welcome to episode 20 of the Mile 20 podcast where epic shit happens. I am Laura and I am here with my bestie Lori.
Howdy.
Howdy. Today we're talking the Inca Trail.
Yes.
So breaking format just a little bit. I know, dude, you're laughing at my hat.
Oh my gosh.
I love my hat.
You should see the wonderfully cultural, colorful hat that Laura got while we were in Peru.
I bought it in Peru. And
I know.
I like wearing it. It's got a nice little fun colors and it's very bright and vibrant, just like many of the traditional. I keep seeing the little pom-poms on the side of my face though. But yeah, no, I absolutely love wearing this hat and I'm donning it the entire episode. So. Yeah.
I just went for the, alpaca sweater.
Yeah, no, that sweater. Well, we're going to talk about where you bought that sweater from.
Yes.
Yeah. But first, a couple of highlights that we're going to talk about. Getting high with altitude.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And then we're going to talk about a little bit of llamas.
Yes. Llama
Let's
love.
get it on.
Maybe it should just be llama love.
Llama love. Llama. And then... guinea pigs.
Ooh, that sounds delicious.
Delicious. But before we get into our Mile 20 beverage of the week, please just check us out on our socials. We are on,
everywhere,
all walks of social media. But if you also want to check us out on video, we record and post our videos on YouTube, so you can see my absolute wonderful, beautiful,
wild
Peruvian
and crazy
hat that I'm wearing this week, and Lori's a lovely sweater that she bought.
Yes,
that has kind of like the Big Lebowski vibes. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I feel like I should be drinking my wink again this week.
Well, on that segue, what are we drinking this week? Because this really is a nod to our Peru trip.
Yes, we are having a lovely pisco sour this evening.
And why a pisco sour?
Because pisco sours are the popular cocktail of both Chile and in Peru.
Yes.
Yep, both of them.
And we partook in some pisco sours throughout the entire trip.
Yes, we did.
Yes. So Lori made these tonight. So we're
really hoping they're not stringy with eggs in them.
It does have egg white in it.
And when I was pulling it out of the strainer, it was
like
a little gross.
Yeah, actually, I was laughing so hard I had to go to the bathroom because you made me pee myself a little bit. All right, ready?
Bad. Yep.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Ooh. That's good. No, don't die. My dog is sitting on my lap and she's just wanting to lick the you can taste the sour and the sweet.
Yeah. That's not bad.
Yeah, I'm going to go for another sip.
Yeah, I think so too. It's almost like a. Why is it? Oh, wait. That one had more of the pisco.
I had more alcohol in that one too.
Yeah.
At
first, I was like, "That's a little key lime pie-ish."
Yeah. But then the second sip definitely tasted like the pisco sour that
the pisco part
of
the sour.
No, that is some good stuff, man. And we will post the recipe.
Yes, we will. We will post it to our social media accounts.
Yes. So all right. So what did you do this past week for your epic week update?
By the way, I'm going to do a quick disclaimer. We all woke up at about 4:30 this morning, and this includes Maggie. We all ran at 5:30 a.m. a 10-miler, and it is now, 8?
It is 2016, so 8:16.
8:16.
Our time.
We're all feeling like it's way past our bedtime at this point. So our brains and our mouths, there's a lot that could be disconnected. So if there's any kind of odd stuff that we say or doesn't make sense,
sorry,
that would be why.
Not sorry.
Yeah, it felt great. It was a great run this morning.
It was a great run, and it was chilly out too. It was
you
48?
could
You could see your breath.
You could see my breath this morning.
It's June, people. It's June, and we should not be able to see our breath in Pennsylvania on a June morning.
I agree with that.
It was just wrong. But it was very, very nice and just very comfortable for running.
Yeah, it felt great to be out there.
Yes.
So, Epic Week update.
A couple things going on this past weekend.
Yeah, it was all good. We are in a flux of the major stuff. DJ graduating from college a couple weeks ago. Maggie moving out. DJ and Mari moving in. Ella went to senior prom on Friday.
Yay, Egla!
Yay!
She looked so beautiful.
I know.
Just so beautiful.
She did. And I feel like she's living her best life right now, which I'm just so happy for her. Because I feel like that generation of kids is kind of like the COVID kids.
Yes.
Like Maggie was a senior in high school, DJ was a junior, but like Ella was in like middle school.
Yeah.
And that was just a terrible time.
Yeah, it was a terrible time for kids. Yeah.
And so I felt she's been like kind of reserved up until like this year. She's hit
her stride.
Yeah.
She's hit her stride.
And I just love that. So it really wasn't her senior prom. It was really her boyfriend's senior prom. She chose not to go to hers. She chose to go to his instead because with the way our district works, like a lot of people from the other schools go to the STEM prom anyway. So she knew a lot of people going to that. So we went over to his house and we took pictures. We got to meet his parents and they have a lovely house and very nice people. And then we went to a local farm and took little farmy pictures and they were so cute.
They were really cute.
Yeah, very cute. And then we went to the Memorial Chapel at Valley Forge Park and they weren't expecting what they got there and they were freaking out. Like, you do not have a permit to be taking pictures here. Like, and there were people just cars lined on both sides of 23 around the chapel. It was pandemonium.
Oh, wow.
STEM wasn't the only people there. There were other high schools there, so it was like compounded. It was really bad.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that was the spot.
Yeah. So anyway, we went to pictures and then sent them on their way and they went to prom and then they did the post-prom thing at the high school and she was out until 5 a.m.
Wow, that's awesome.
Got home at 5:30 and had a great time and loved it. And then Saturday, Maggie had like a bar crawl, housewarming. There we are.
Which I was said I didn't go to.
Yes, a housewarming thing where she lives in Phoenixville, and I don't think she really wanted to invite me, but I think she felt guilty because of other family circumstances that she felt like she had to invite us. So I invited a couple of my friends out to go to their first bar stop. We didn't go to the housewarming piece at her apartment, but we saw them out at the first bar stop. And so I got to hang out with Barb and Deneen and Barb's husband, Al. And we'd been riding. Like, we've ridden a couple times this week, too. So it's been good. It's a good
awesome.
week. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, how about you?
We went down to Maryland trying to get those last spring projects done. I'm telling you, there's like 2 things left on this list that probably was like 30 things deep.
I'm going to hold everybody who's listening accountable that she just said that.
I said for the spring. These were the spring projects.
Okay, well, am I correct that you did say there would be no summer projects?
There's not going to be any summer projects.
Okay.
No summer projects. And so Jim and I, we worked, a little bit on Friday and Saturday. Saturday morning, though, we went fishing and it was really windy. And I ended up catching a 5.5 pound catfish that was maybe 21, 22 inches long. I sent you guys a picture of it.
Yeah, that thing looked like a monster.
Yeah, it put up a good fight. It was the only catfish I caught. The other ones I caught were like smallmouth bass. But between Jim and I, in an hour, I think we caught about 12 fish.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's some good catching right there.
Yeah, so I'm getting better about it. I'm going to admit this, like, publicly. I used to have Jim put the worms on my hook for me and then also, take the hook out of the fish. He still does the catfish because the catfish...
They go deep, don't they sometimes?
They do. Oh, that's what she said. Yeah, I just struggle because of the texture of their skin, and it's just really, really hard. He's got a device to get the hook out. I need to learn how to do it the next time I go fishing with him. That's my goal. But I did not ask him to put my worm on my hook this go around, and all of the bass that I caught, I took the hooks out myself.
Good for you.
Except for the one that went through the eye. That was the only one I just couldn't do it.
Yeah,
I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. So we did that, but we had a fabulous dinner at Prime 225 in Chesapeake City.
And you looked beautiful
Thank
when you
you.
went. She also sent us a picture of her lovely dress.
I did, in my $19 Cupshe dress.
Love that.
It was one of those deals where I saw it on Facebook and I just, you click on it once and you're like, fuck, my algorithm. And then it just keeps popping up everywhere on your social media. So I ended up buying it and it was $19. And it's a cute dress for $19, but I just kept saying to Jim, don't let me be near a flame. Because like this thing's going to be like, yeah. And then Sunday night, we went over to my sissy's house. And we celebrated my nephew William's 9th birthday.
Happy birthday, William.
Yeah, it was just a nice family get together, and I just kept remembering when he was a little tiny infant, like born. And as soon as he was born, Maddie and I made our way up to New Jersey, where my sister had him. And I held him the first day he was born. So it's kind of cool now seeing him. And I mean, I probably predict like in a year or two, he's going to be taller than me.
Oh, for sure.
But he's just grown.
So big for his age too. Like he's just a
Yeah,
good
he's tall.
size. Yeah, very tall.
Very lanky but tall. Yeah, so that was super nice last night, just celebrating him.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah. So, all right, girl.
Yeah.
You want to get into it?
So I think we decided to kind of break with what we've been doing, flushing the format for today, because
that was my toilet.
Yeah. Because we kind of been like working in chronological order of what we were doing, and we kind of also want to talk about the fact that yes, we run marathons, but we're also kind of adventurous souls at heart as well.
Avid travelers.
And after that 2018 season, we decided that summer of 2019 that we were going to go ahead and hike the Inca Trail. So my hubby does a lot of business in Gainesville. I'm going to try and make this very short. And there were a lot of people that through Gainesville that were part of an organization called Climb for Cancer Foundation, where they would do various different things. I think that there's some races that they've put on to raise funds, but they also partnered with a local Holbrook Travel, which is a local Gainesville travel agency, to book these climbing excursions. I think in the past they had done Kilimanjaro. Did I just say Kilimanjaro? There we go. That came out right the second time. And the Inca Trail. And a trip came up, and one of his clients was like, hey, we have a Climb for Cancer. So a percentage of what we spent on the trip through Holbrook Travel went towards the Climb for Cancer Foundation, which supports cancer patients, their families, and research through SHANS, which is the University of Florida Teaching Hospital.
Yep, and you can find more information at climbforcancerfoundation.org.
Yes, but I have very sad news. As I was exploring their website, it turns out they're folding as of September 30th of 2025.
That's sad. Okay.
It is sad because I really wanted to climb Kilimanjaro for them because I think that would be cool. But unfortunately, it will just be what we did. So when Dave was like, hey, this is like a bucket list item, I really want to do it. We knew kind of Jim had been talking about it. And we're like, well, let's see how many people can go on this trip. And we're like, let's see who all we can get. So we immediately asked Jim and Laura, Matt and Tina, which are our friends from Florida, and Bob and Cherry, who we had met at Glacier National Park.
That was Dave's the twisted ankle and the people that walked along with you guys when you did that. Yep, just a little reminder from previous episodes.
Yep, absolutely. And so, well, what happened after that? After we asked you guys to come,
we went.
Well, I think you were kind of excited about it, but it was really Jim's thing,
This was totally Jim's thing, and you had talked to me about it. You had mentioned it. I think that Dave had mentioned it on the side to Jim as well, because that's when they started becoming like more friends with each other. Not just like, oh, we're going to hang out because Lori and Laura are hanging out.
Right.
And I was a little apprehensive about going to South America, admittedly, because my sister years and years ago had gone to a trip to South America and didn't have necessarily the most positive experience. So I don't know. I just had it in my mind. I mean, it's a huge continent.
It is.
She went to Uruguay, and that wasn't like the best experience. But I said to Jim, I'm like, all right, if everybody else is going, I'm in for this. Like this, and he's like, I really, really want to do this. So I'm like, all right, I am in. Yeah. So it wasn't like I went kicking and screaming.
Right.
But I wasn't like, oh hell yeah. Now, like, just talking about like other trips to like areas in South America. Oh hell yeah. Like,
yeah.
I'm in. Certain areas no, but certain areas yes.
Yes, yeah, for sure. The touristy, naturalistic places where it's fine.
Yeah, so we booked that shit.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so everybody we asked wound up committing to going. So we wound up going. We left June 2nd of 2019. I think you left earlier.
We did.
In the day, or did you just leave for Philly and have a direct flight?
We had a direct flight.
Yeah, we drove to JFK, flew to Panama City, and wound up going into Lima later that night.
We had a direct flight. So we got there, I don't know, maybe around like 11 in the morning. And maybe noon, and we grabbed lunch with Tina and Matt because they had gotten in early, and we decided because we were getting in so early, like the day before, we ended up staying at a Marriott.
You were the day before too.
Yes, down in Lima, and it was right on the beach. Yeah, I know. Kona wants a sip of my drink, and so we hung out at the beach and had way too many cocktails at lunchtime. Critter came out. That's what Tina's nickname is Critter.
Yes.
And it was just a wonderful.
Well, and Too Soon Tina also.
Too Soon Tina,
yes. But it's too soon to talk about Too Soon Tina. She didn't exist in 2019.
Yes. But we had it was nice because we had met Tina and Matt when you and I ran the Boston Marathon with Tina, and but it was hard, like in a really large group, to really get to know them well. And so it was nice that we had like a day, just between the two couples.
Yes. I know Kona
has now migrated to the next lap.
She doesn't quite know where to put her head with the mic here.
Yeah, and you guys got in the that night, I think, really late.
Well, the day after, because you guys had that Marriott stay. Because we went when we got there, and we stayed right at that Wyndham. What is it, Costa del Sol? It's right there. Like literally, you leave the airport, you walk across the street, and the hotel is right there on property, which is very convenient. When planning this trip, there are pros and cons to being a stay-at-home mom, right? I have a lot of freedom to do a lot of whatever I want because I don't have a job I have to get to or worry about vacation days.
Yep.
So I was like, dude, if we're flying all the way to Peru, like I want to check Peru off. And I kept playing with what Holbrook Travel was giving us as the trip proper, which was just the Inca Trail with some Cusco and the Ollantaytambo.
Dude, I'm going to botch up a lot of names tonight.
There's going to be some terrible pronunciation of Peruvian names. I'm so sorry in advance. But, like, aside from that, like, I really wanted to go see, like, Kona. Yes, Kona is just, I love you too.
She's giving love tonight.
I love you too, baby. Wanted to see like Lake Titicaca, and I wanted to see the Nazca lines, which are down there. I wanted to go into the Amazon basin because I don't know, I have an adventurous spirit, and the Amazon just is appealing to me because it's the Amazon, right? It's like the Nile. I want to see the Nile and go down the Nile in a boat someday.
Yes.
Anyway, I kept playing with all of these places I wanted to go, and I kept looking at my husband. I'm like, I can't do it all. I can't do it all in 2 weeks. Like, it's just not possible.
You're like, Dave, make it stop.
I'm like, Dave was
like, make it stop.
Lori, stop. So anyway, I wound up sweet talking my way into 3 weeks in Peru. So I don't even know why I started down this road.
Just the fact that everybody got in and like you were going to be staying. You were going for the long haul.
Yeah. Oh, that's where I was going. This particular hotel, the Wyndham, I found it was really great because I was there for so long, and like Jim and Laura left after the Inca Trail portion.
Because we both work and had to get back to work.
Dave, Tina, and Matt.
I hate you and I love you.
I'm so sorry. Dave, Tina, and Matt stayed an additional week. And then Dave, Tina, and Matt flew out, and my poor bougie mom flew in.
Oh, poor Nana.
Poor Nana. And so I got some extra time with my mom in country too. So, but I found that Wyndham there in particular was really great.
It was a good hub when you came back in.
Because Peru is huge. And I mean, huge. There is no good way to get to these sites from point to point without flying. Like you need, if you're going to visit Peru, that's definitely something you need to keep in mind, that you're going to be flying. They're not expensive flights between the cities.
But you have to fly.
But you have to fly, and there's just a lot of travel time that you have to accommodate for between places. So that Wyndham, highly recommend.
Yeah. And then once we ended up connecting with you guys the next day, we all connected at the airport.
Yeah.
And in Lima.
Yep.
And that's when we met our guides.
Yes.
And our guides, I feel like our guides when they can make or break a trip.
Agreed, 100%.
Like I don't particularly enjoy guided tours. I mean, you and I both are like choose your own adventure, right?
Yes.
And but our two guides, so it was Vlad and Jarek, they were absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah,
they made our entire trip.
They really were.
Yeah.
They were amazing.
Yeah. So we met up with them and ended up going and flying from Lima to Cusco. And what did they tell us when we were getting off of the airplane?
Yeah, so they come over the loud announcement, or the loud announcements.
The loud announcement.
Oh, dear
Hello,
God.
ladies and gentlemen. We have the loud announcement on the plane over the loudspeaker.
It's gonna be a long night, people. It's okay. Yeah, so they broadcast over the speaker. The flight attendants, they're like, listen, if you are not from this area, when you get up, gather your luggage and walk off the plane. Please take it slow. Because when you arrive in Cusco, you are at
almost 11,000 feet.
Yeah, almost 11,000. 10,860 feet.
That stuff is real.
So when you fly out of Lima, you are at sea level. When you arrive in Cusco, you are over 10,000 feet, almost 11. And I tell you, it is for real.
It's totally for real.
I can remember us being in the bathroom after deboarding.
And I remember my heart rate going doosh, 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 doosh.
Yeah.
And you were like, holy crap, man. Like what is happening? Because at that point in time, we hadn't hiked the Tetons yet and had done any kind of elevation.
No.
And so this was like our first exposure to like decent elevation.
But we were taking it seriously, because I can remember extensive talks as we were planning for this trip, worried about elevation sickness and what that felt like and what to look for, and, you know, things that you could do to try and mitigate it. Like, don't drink.
Yeah.
Like, no alcohol content.
Yeah.
Like, you know. So they're very smart. Holbrick Travel and other travel agencies, where if you're planning and do an Inca Trail through a travel provider like that, as opposed to independently, are really great at understanding that you should not stay in Cusco the first night.
Oh, yeah, no.
So they immediately take you from Cusco airport, and you start making your way going down in elevation towards into the Sacred Valley, towards Ollantaytambo.
Ollantaytambo? Yeah, in the Sacred Valley. We're just going to call it the Sacred Valley.
The Sacred Valley, yeah. Yes. I think we made a few stops.
We did.
On the way.
We did. We stopped in a little town called Chinchero, and we visited the Artesanías Centro Textil Urbe. And this was basically a home.
That was beautiful.
Dude. It's so sloppy. Where they actually raise alpacas, and they take the fur, the hair, the wool, off of the llamas, and they have a whole process where they show you how they clean the wool. I'm just gonna call it wool. They clean the wool, and how they dye it, how they dry it, and then how they weave it. It was absolutely phenomenal to go and see the entire process from like end to end. I absolutely appreciated that, because it makes like a sweater. Again, if you visit us on YouTube, you can see Lori's Big Lebowski sweater. Yeah. But this sweater, like
I bought it there.
But yeah, like they had like absolutely beautiful wares that you could buy, and just knowing like how like each of these things are like dyed, and they're dyed with like vegetables. It's not like they don't have anything that's like artificial about what they're doing.
Do you remember that like they had like a little basket full of piles of like the powdered dye that you could see all the different colors. It was
and
so
they had
beautiful.
big huge cauldrons over heat, and they had
but over like fire like
right,
coal fires,
and they're huge cauldrons, and they just had the yarn being dipped, and over a period of time, and they would pull it up. Is this the right color that I want? And it was just such an art.
Yeah.
It was an absolute art.
And I found it interesting. So like when you start, like we're pretty fresh in country at this point. And I remember going into Chinchero and seeing like the women with the red sweaters and the black
long skirts
and the little hats,
the little bolero hats,
and things, and thinking to myself like, I wonder
they're costumed up.
Yeah, they're costumed up, or this is clearly like a tourist trap. But as you progressed along in the trip, that is just absolutely not the case.
That is their traditional, many women, that is their traditional garb.
Yeah, and I found like that the whole Andean culture is so beautifully preserved, and it's such a gift to be able to witness it.
It is, because they have definitely not westernized, and
thank God.
Yes, and they were. My experience was that they were just the nicest people.
Oh gosh,
just the nicest people to go and interact with. And,
agreed.
So that was really, really fun to see that. And then we stopped in a little place called Marais to see some terracing, and it was a really great example of how. Because the area is so mountainous, of how resourceful the Peruvians or the Incas, were in utilizing every square ounce of their land. So they are incredible terraces.
Oh, amazing!
That and as well as aqueducts to show how when the rain would come off of the mountainside, how then they would irrigate like all of this land as well. And so I so enjoyed that.
Yeah, I think I read somewhere today that actually the Sacred Valley was like the first place where they really started to cultivate wild maize. So they took like, those terraces and think about how much maize is used now. I mean, it's just a really, really unique. We get so focused on European history, I think, sometimes. And in conjunction with this, and I'm not going to be able to remember the author's name, my dad had recommended me reading a book called 1491 before we went.
Yeah.
And I got through a vast majority of it. I finished it while I was there, and it's very dry.
It was a really thick book, wasn't it?
Not too bad. Oh. Not too bad, but it is a nonfiction book, but basically it's a whole theory that overhauls what we have known to date, like that the Native Americans were all, hunter-gatherer societies. There were no big societies and stuff like that, and that there were, a few 100,000 people in the Americas. This is saying no. Like there were cities in the Americas that had millions of people, and they talk a lot about the Incas in the book, which I found fascinating because we were there.
Right.
And when you really looked down these valleys, you could almost see vast numbers of old terraces that just weren't intact anymore. Yep. Like you could almost see the ribbing.
You could see it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you just imagine how many people they had to be feeding to have that many terraces.
Yes.
That's not a couple thousand people.
No, definitely was not a couple of thousand.
No.
Yeah. No, it was really, really neat to experience that because, you definitely had to let your imagination just kind of like go wild to envision what these areas were like when they were actually like active and working, thousands of years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, so Marais was absolutely wonderful. And then we went actually into the town of Ollantaytambo. God, that's so
Ollantaytambo.
Oh yes, that town. I really, really enjoyed going here. They had a lot of cobblestone streets, and the homes were made of adobe.
Yeah,
just so quaint. And this is the area where they, in the one spot, had natural water running through the middle of the ruins. I would have liked. That's our only spot where we went for the trip where I really wish that we had spent more time there.
I agree.
Because we kind of got like a morsel taste of that.
Yeah, I feel like the ruins outside of that town, Ollantaytambo.
There you go. Better than me.
I feel like the ruins there were very more expansive than I was expecting, and I definitely could have spent more time. But it was really cool. I do remember there being like llamas or alpacas that were just kind of wandering wild. Do you remember that a lot in the ruins area too? In the water.
Yeah, we definitely saw a lot of llamas. So if you don't know this, llamas are actually a very revered and sacred animal to the Peruvians. So you will actually see. I mean, this isn't like it's a joke. This is like a real thing in Peru where. You will see like different symbols with the llamas on it, and I mean they're very, very revered animals, you know, to them. So
I agree. It was neat.
Yeah. So what hotel did we stay at?
We stayed.
I like this place.
Yeah, I do too, but I need to refresh my memory as to the name.
The Pakar Itampu Hotel. Wow, dude.
I'm so sorry.
You're looking forward to seeing me in France, aren't you?
Oh, there it is. Pakar Itampu.
Yeah,
hotel.
This place was absolutely lovely.
It was a lovely hotel, and I highly recommend if you're going to go sit there, that would be a place. Maybe we can put some links up to some of these hotels.
Yes, we definitely can, because if you are trying to go by my pronunciation, you will be fucked.
Yeah, you will never know where the hell we're going. I feel like that place was good. Not only were the rooms nice, but the food was great there. The bar was great there.
Yeah, just the overall vibe.
Yeah.
It was a nice like place to go and land that night.
But they dropped us down so I think we landed and wound up spending the night at like 9,100 feet.
Yeah.
So it wasn't as extreme as when we were in Cuzco, and it did feel like you were acclimating, but I can still remember, I think like that first night laying in bed and your heart being like, you're like, why is my resting heart rate like a disco ball?
Yeah.
Doosh, doosh, doosh.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
All right. So after that, then the next day, we went to, is it Pisac?
Pisac,
and we went to an archaeological park.
Yeah, this was our acclimating hike. So they wanted us, we actually climbed up into like mountains. Like they were testing us to see who was going to get sick. Yeah, I think they were testing us to see like
fitness level too.
Who hiked fast, who is a slower hiker.
Our pace, yeah.
Yeah, and but it was also really pretty because there was a lot of archaeological ruins there too, and we got some history.
Great views too,
Great views.
And then the thing I appreciated that day was just getting to know Vlad. And just his style of explaining things. I'm like, oh, I'm going to learn a lot from this guy. He was just so personable. He was probably in like his late 40s, early 50s.
Yeah, I would say.
And had a son, wife, and he did this all the time.
And he was a 76ers fan. He loved Joel Embiid, which is even better.
Yeah, so we really, really loved him.
Yeah, we bonded with him, Vlad very quickly.
Yeah.
We had a really cool, I think, boxed lunch that day against the ruins or one of the terraces. I remember us kind of huddling in the shade of like a terrace and having like, I was drinking juice out of a juice box, and I felt like I was 12 again.
I know. It's like we're like summer camp.
Yeah.
But I think the thing that I really loved is after we came down off of the hike, we went to this little bar, and they had a little balcony area that we went upstairs. And so we're in the town, and we're just people watching, like drinking on the balcony. And I remember seeing two women. They were older ladies, and they were carrying around baby llamas. And it's a scam. So if you are in Peru and if you consciously want to get your picture taken with these baby llamas with the women dressed in the traditional garb, you have to pay them.
Yes.
It is disrespectful to try to get your picture taken with them and not pay them. And they expect to be paid as well.
Yes.
That is part of like their profession. That is what they do throughout the day. But it was interesting to watch these two women kind of maneuver on the street and look for like their next like photography victims.
Oh yeah, Dave and I got a picture taken.
We did too. But we were like went up to them. It was like we gave them money and got the picture taken with the little baby llamas.
So they were so cute though.
Yeah,
very cute.
but that was absolutely wonderful. Now, talking about stomachs.
Oh, my stomach imploded that night.
The next place that we went to, and it wasn't a planned stop. But we were on our little tour bus, and we were headed to back to our hotel and our dinner, and we ended up going through a town called Lima. It's Lamay, and it is renowned for its guinea pig eateries.
Yes.
All right, so folks, imagine this: we start going on the street into this town, and there's all these like Peruvian women with guinea pigs. Barbecued, sauteed guinea pigs on sticks, and they're waving their sticks like, "Come over to my restaurant."
Well, let's get this for full visual. When we say guinea pigs, it wasn't like just a piece of meat on a stick.
It was guinea pig,
and the head, the feet, the legs,
no hair,
skinned, and roasted.
Yeah, like pit roasted over fire.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like a full, that's a guinea pig.
There's no mistaking that it was a guinea pig.
And my husband and your husband.
I ate it too.
Oh yeah. Well, I did not. I refused. I don't regret it at all.
And they're called koi, Cuy.
Yeah.
Is that how you say koi?
Koi. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think the Peruvian thing with guinea pigs, it's kind of more like our turkey, that they don't eat it on the regular.
It's a delicacy.
Yeah, it's more of like on special occasions and holidays. So how did you feel about did you enjoy your guinea pig?
I mean, it was interesting to taste it. I think it tasted like dark meat turkey, probably more dark meat chicken.
Yeah.
But
was it gamey?
No, not super gamey. And I had a piece, and I'm like, I'm good. I'm totally good. I was glad that I tried it, but who tried the legs or something? Didn't Dave?
I think Dave was just making a joke. I have a picture of him with pretending like he's nibbling
on a leg.
Foot.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's like real. Like they raise the guinea pigs like in their homes, and then they cook them.
Yeah. No.
Yep.
No.
All right. So then the
me.
next day we went to our hike, right? We went to the start of our hike and we met our porters. So let's talk really quick about the porters, because we I don't think we had like really kind of a true sense of like what this experience would be with the group that we went with, right? The company that we went with. And so we had actually porters that carried almost like all of our gear. I mean,
so we had 9 people that were on the hike with us, and there were 19 porters
in our group.
So 9 people hiking, 19 porters. We had porters for all we carried was a day pack with snacks and maybe like a quick change of clothes.
Yeah.
And maybe and water.
And a rain jacket.
And a rain jacket. The porters carried everything. All of our clothes, our toiletries, our tents, our sleeping gear, our toilet.
We tipped him really well.
He got very well tipped.
Yes.
Because he carried our porta-john.
He carried our porta-john.
He did.
Yeah.
Yes. We had a cook.
We had a couple cooks.
But like when we say cook, like it wasn't just a cook. Like we weren't just out there just camping. We had a mess tent. We had a mess tent.
And I don't think I realized what we were going to be experiencing until like we went to lunch, our first lunch, and the porters take all of our stuff and then they go way further ahead than us, right?
They pass us.
And most of the porters are like gentlemen who are very short in stature.
Yeah.
So let's call it 5'5" and below. Some of them are wearing sandals on their feet. Some of them are wearing Converse on their feet.
Yeah.
And they are carrying, I think maximum is 50 pounds that they can carry each.
I don't know.
And then they go further ahead than us. And then by the time we get to our destination for lunch, they had not only everything set up, but they had water that was being warmed for like washing our hands.
Oh yeah, we had little soapy bowls when we got there. Well, first of all, they had a tarp out because our backpacks didn't need to touch the ground, if you remember.
Yes, I do remember that.
So we had a tarp where we put our personal items down for the day. And then they had our personal bowls with our soap water for our hands, and you could splash our face with our towels and dry ourselves
And then we
off.
went into the tent, and it was like a white tablecloth, and we were like, oh my God.
Yes. The food was
phenomenal.
Amazing.
Phenomenal.
Dave, I actually have a note from Dave where he made a note of what we ate every day.
Oh, wow.
And when I tell you, I was reading back on it going, this shit was bougie.
It was totally bougie. And being someone that has a food allergy, they completely 100% catered to my needs. So when there was something that you all got, I always had a substitute.
Yeah.
Which was absolutely wonderful. So they carried all of our food for 4 days.
Yep.
Along this trail
and our shit for 4 days.
And our shit and our water and everything else. So, and then when we would come in for the evening, at our stopping point, they would also have like not only our tents set up, but like our sleeping bags laid out. I mean, everything. It was absolutely phenomenal.
It was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And then also notable, we would wake up in the morning to a coca tea. Coca tea. You want coca tea? And so he was like, yes. So you wake up and you unzip your tent and they hand you your warm water and your coca tea.
And they take coca leaves, which cocaine is made from, but it's like coca leaves, and they put it into warm water and it creates a tea. And the coca leaves are meant to help you with the altitude sickness.
Yes.
And keep your stomach at bay. And a lot of these guys, as they were climbing up and down the mountain, and they do this like as their job, many of them had like wads of coca leaves like in their mouths and just kind of like almost like chewing it like tobacco.
Yeah.
And so it was interesting because it was like, no matter how often you go and you do this, like your body's still going to react a certain way to the altitude.
Yeah, for sure.
It was grounding.
Yeah, it was very grounding. But it was a top-notch experience from beginning to end. I'd say the first day of the Inca Trail was not probably my favorite.
Yeah, because we still. I mean, what was cool is that we got to see some houses along the trail, and we got to see a donkey train, right?
Yeah, we did get to see the donkey train, which was cool.
And because like the people were moving their goods like from one area to another, and they were using the donkeys to go and help transport it. And it was like, oh shit, like to me, it just made me appreciate like their way of life. And it's so different than how we live on a day to day. But just appreciating like the cross culture, as we're both going on the trail, kind of doing different things.
Yeah, it was very cool. Very cool. I think the first day we were very much still in civilization.
Yeah.
Not a lot of climbing. I think there was a little bit, but not a lot.
Not a lot. But we did get exposed to most of the Inca Trail is it's a rock trail.
Yeah.
And it's all of these rocks that were like hand laid.
Yes.
A gazillion years ago. And you think about like the technology that did not exist then. And some of these there are stairs and paths, miles and miles of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
Yeah. Just totally appreciate that.
I do remember that first day, one of the really cool things was we got to an area where there was a very pretty ruin and we were kind of up above it.
Yes.
And I think there was like almost 3 valleys that connected into this one point. I can't remember the name of that either because it's been a while, but anyway, it was just, I remember it just being very breezy, but just gorgeous.
It was spectacular. And all the grass was like completely green, in the ruins. But the one thing that was really fun that night is that when we got into our first campsite, it was kind of like on these people's farm. There was a couple of houses around us.
And dogs.
A lot of dogs barking that night, very, very late into the evening.
Yes.
But the locals went and sold you guys beers.
Yes.
And the beers were being kept cold in the stream that they had there because they didn't really have refrigeration or anything. So that was kind of cool.
That was cool.
You guys all enjoyed that beer.
That was a very good beer.
I was a little jelly that night.
That was a very good beer.
The second climbing day, that second day was really hard. hard.
Second
that was
day's
hard.
the beast.
Yeah,
like
that's
the hard day. It's absurd.
Yeah, we made a hike up to what's called Dead Woman's Pass, and this is at almost 14,000 feet.
Yeah,
and man, like when you were just and it was like a staircase, right, that was going up.
Yes,
and I just remember in my head because I was with Mateo, with Matt, and then what was the other guy's name that we were with?
Greg.
Single Greg.
Yeah.
So the three of us were together, and like I said earlier, like I just every time I hit higher altitude, I just keep farting. So between me, Matt, and Greg, like the three of us kept farting, and then we were finally like, all right, we need to stop apologizing to each other, right? So like it is what it is. So we're climbing, and I just remember getting into this cadence in my head.
Yeah.
And it was like 1, 2, 3, 4, stop, take a breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, stop, take a breath. And because the altitude was just a beast, and the incline was just horrendous. I was a little worried about Jim, my hubby, because if you remember, like Jim, who usually is, he's usually in front of everybody else, and like usually we lose him for a period of time. Jim was like towards the very, very back end. I mean, he was struggling with the altitude. Yeah. He really was.
What was his symptoms? Was his stomach too, or did he have a headache?
Heart rate, couldn't catch his breath.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it was like a little bit that day, because I think we hiked maybe 30 minutes before we hit the steps. And then it was literally steps all day.
All day.
Like all day.
But man, it
hours.
felt like really, really good that night, or not that night, but like at the end of that hike, getting to the top and taking pictures at the top of the mountain.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was like, I climbed that shit.
Well, I actually, as we were climbing, I was sitting there thinking, oh my God, like, okay, so yeah, this is what I feel like at mile 5. This is what I feel like at mile 13 in a marathon. Okay, so this is about where I start to feel like mile 17, 18. Okay, now we're 20 plus miles into this. Like I kept equating it to a marathon, because it felt like a marathon. That was the effort I felt like it took to
I
climb that
totally
mountain.
agree. I totally agree. That was probably one of the hardest like short segments of hiking like I think I've ever done.
Yeah, it was 4,000 feet.
Yeah. Yeah, in a very, very short period of time. In a very, very short period of time.
But now we did have, like we said, a very bougie lunch halfway through the hike. There was like a little flat plateau place where we kind of pulled off, and they set up our mess tent, and we had a lovely lunch.
We totally did.
And then as we were like exploring our little lunch area before we got back on the trail.
Oh, we saw the llamas getting it on.
Yeah.
There was some llama love going on, and there were a bunch of other people from another group, and they were like all taking pictures, and we were like, oh, what's going on over there? And then we're like, oh, and it was like, let's get it on.
I'm like, oh, okay. So this is real wildlife stuff going on here.
We're like, oh, that's how the baby llamas are made. Yay. So the third day,
wait.
Wait, what?
Wait, no, I feel like, the third day camp was the best, but we had a very lovely camp that night. We were at high altitude. It was very pretty, not quite as pretty as what we're about to talk about, but it was very beautiful. It was beautiful, being gorgeous.
Yes, it was much better than the first night.
Yeah. So at this point, like you're away from the minute you climbed up and got over that pass.
You didn't see any houses.
There was no houses.
You were in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what I found completely amazing, and I don't know whether it was because of the company that Holbrook Travel uses in Peru, or whether it's just every trekking company that does this, they coordinate. I don't know, but I know that they allow 500 permits a day on the Inca Trail, and I was thinking, wow, that's just a lot of people on that trail. However, when you are hiking it, you feel like you're with your group.
Yeah, because we had a certain start time.
Yeah.
And I think that's how they went and regulated us, right? Like where you're not like all on top of each other, and because if you remember, there were some groups that started way later than us. And when our last night that we were in camp, there were people that were still on the trail with like headlights coming in, and we were like, oh, dude, that would suck.
Yeah.
Because they missed like so much of the view. So I feel like we we had it good.
Yes.
Because we got to like appreciate all of the scenery.
Agreed. I just think they do a fabulous job of crowd management as far as even the camping. Like I felt like our company was also better with the camping because, and this comes into play really the third night that we were out there, because I felt like everybody else was all bunched up in their camps, and I felt like we were kind of up and away from them.
We were
looking down on them.
Yes, I feel like we had some good privacy, and the other thing that is remarkable is that for the number of people that do hike the trail on a daily basis, there was hardly next to no garbage on the trail. Like I don't even recall seeing one piece of trash on the trail.
Yeah,
like people like respect, the space, and what you carry in is what you bring out.
Yep.
And that was just top notch.
Just sorry to circle back for a second.
Yeah.
When we were climbing, did you go through any spiritual stuff that day?
Oh yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of conversations in my head in terms of, I don't know, like just where I am in my life, and I felt very, very connected to the nature where it was just like I need to be just very, very grateful for everything that I have in my life, and I don't know, there was a lot of mental conversation going on there, because I know at some point in time, you and I, I think it was like the last day we were hiking, we came across this like open space, and it just, you could see all these valleys and, just mountains all crisscrossing each other. And you and I both like got all welled up.
Yeah.
Like we actually like cried, like just seeing the scenery together. And it was humbling.
It was humbling.
Yeah. How about you?
I think I did a lot of final processing on losing Paul. Because I definitely climbed to the top of that and I cried.
Yeah.
I can remember like grabbing Dave and just kind of sobbing for just a few minutes, and then it was fine.
Yeah.
But there was definitely some tears towards the end of that because it was tough.
It is truly holy land.
Yeah.
It really is. And when you place yourself out into nature like that, and you just get disconnected, because we were totally disconnected from
100%.
everything in our daily lives. And it just makes you be present. And I think that's what I really appreciated about that trip, is just barely being present.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Not only for myself, but like for everybody else that I was around as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, the third day, I feel like that was probably one of my favorite days of hiking, next to coming into Machu Picchu. Because, I mean, obviously that's a big peak, right?
Yes.
Coming to the Sun Gate and seeing Machu Picchu. But I felt like it was really cool because there was a lot of views, because we were still pretty high up and out.
A lot of vistas.
And there, like, the Andes are snow-capped year-round. So, like, even though where we were, it was like hot, cold, hot. It got chilly, and it was cold in the mornings. It got hot in the afternoon.
Yeah, because we brought like light puffer jackets, and I mean there were times where we had hats on too.
Hats, puffer jackets, gloves, and then
chilly in the mornings.
And then I'd be in a tank top by the afternoon,
yes.
and then back into a puffer jacket by the nighttime.
Yes.
But I think we had a really cool place that we hiked into. Like, you kind of hike for a few hours, and then you wind up into this like Sayak Marca. It was the inaccessible town. You kind of go into this narrow staircase that went into the rock.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
I totally remember that.
And then it took you to this really cool ruin area.
And it was that the area where it had a microclimate. And when we went through the area, it dropped about 40 degrees in this one space.
Yeah, very well could have.
Yeah. That was like crazy. Like, you could almost like step and you feel like the cold, and then you step back and you could feel like you're out of it. I was just mesmerized by that.
Yeah, it was really weird.
Yeah.
It was really just a very, very cool trail that day.
Yeah.
I just thought it was just gorgeous.
Yeah. No, I totally agree.
And then that day 3 camp, man.
Yeah, that was pretty sweet. I know at some point in time when we landed at the last camp, and we were again almost at 11,000 feet. I remember during the evening, the clouds started to settle, and we were actually our campsite was above the cloud level.
Yeah.
Which we were like, holy shit, we're above the clouds. Like,
yes.
This is kind of cool. And then Jim, who always loves to kind of like get his own time away.
Yeah,
you know,
he's like Waldo. Where's Waldo?
Yeah, he just needs a little like, I just need to be alone. So we don't know what he does when he's alone, though.
He wanders. He's a wanderer. That's what he does when he's alone.
Yeah.
He just wanders and he finds cool shit.
He does find cool shit. So Jim finds this really cool vista.
Yeah.
That overlooks like some of the taller mountains that we did not climb.
It's about like 20, 30 feet, maybe more climbing than where our campsite was.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the crew noticed that like we were gravitating toward that. So they ended up setting up a makeshift cocktail hour with not cocktails, but they had cocoa for us.
Hot cocoa.
And warmed nuts.
And more these nuts.
Yeah. The warms nuts.
Yeah, they warmed some nuts for us and had little snacks out before dinner. It was just so sweet because they literally carried a whole table, the tablecloth, the nice warm roasted nuts.
We were like, you guys didn't have to do that. They're like, no. Like, you enjoy the area, you know?
I know, it was amazing.
Yeah.
And the sun was setting. And I can remember this. So it was like kind of purplish pink clouds that were below us. Then you would see these white snow-capped mountains that were also starting to get tingy from the sunset. I mean, oh my God. Like I've had some spots where I've camped that I thought were beautiful, but that's number one.
Yeah,
that is the number one spot. I think that's the most beautiful place I've ever camped in my entire life.
I would entirely agree with you on that. And even in the morning when we woke up, it was like because we were so high up into the clouds, everything was wet. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Because the cloud had kind of like taken over, our space. And just everything was just, it felt like it was rained on. And it wasn't, but it was from the cloud.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is what cloud moisture feels like. Okay. But I absolutely loved the last day on the hike. So up until that point, our guides had kind of stayed with us the entire time. And we kept pace, right? Because we had to hit like certain campsites. Well, the fourth day that we were hiking, our destination was to get to the entrance gate to Machu Picchu, and then we would wait for everybody to kind of convene. So they let us kind of do like our own pace, and which was really nice because if we wanted to stop and kind of take something in, we had the time to go and do that. But the one thing I remember, so at the time I was still very much afraid of heights.
Yes.
And so Cherry, who at the time was in her 70s, her and her husband, Bob. And Cherry
It was me, you, and Cherry that day.
Yes.
We were hanging out, hiking together.
It totally was. And Cherry was in her 70s and she did CrossFit. Mm-hmm. So when Lori and I always talk about like when we get older, what do? We choose Cherry. So we're going to be like Cherry. So at some point in time, Cherry is hiking in front of us. And you can see that the trail narrows and it starts going over to the left. But all you can see is like just air out in front. and Cherry turns the corner and you can't see her. And then she pops back around and she looks at me. She's like, oh, you're going to love this. And she was like being all sarcastic, like to me, like basically like, oh my God, like I can't wait to see this chick go across this thing.
Right.
And I just remember like, I mean, like it was like shaking.
There was a sign there that said something like beware of drop or what did it say?
I don't know. I was looking at earlier at pictures and I didn't take a picture of it because I was so terrified. So
yeah, no, it said something like warning, big drop. I don't know. It was something.
Yeah, it was like no shit.
There was some kind of warning there that was like high elevation.
Yeah.
Something.
So needless to say,
yes.
I made it across now I'm much better with heights now, but I just loved it that like here this 70-year-old lady Cherry is like giving me freaking shit.
Oh, yeah,
and I'm
she
just
was
like,
totally
oh my
giving
God.
you shit.
Yeah. But yeah, I just enjoyed that day, like kind of meandering down and getting down to the gate for Machu Picchu.
Yeah.
I cried when I saw Machu Picchu for the first time.
Now, as you approach the Sun Gate, though, it's like a beautiful hike, but then there's this last little
that wall of rock.
It was like a wall of rock. It was like a ladder of rock.
Yes.
Because I
forgot about that.
Dave has pictures of us because, of course, he's a speed demon in everything he does, so he was always way ahead of me. He has a picture of me, and I think us climbing up to the sun gate, like that final little push. It was like, oh my God, like after everything, like really? And then when you climbed up, you got to see like your first view. Now, I feel like the night before at camp, you could see the backside of the mountain of Machu Picchu. And so they pointed out like, there it is. There's your mountain.
Right.
We'll be over there tomorrow.
Yeah.
But to be there and then to finally be able to see into that saddle where Machu Picchu is was
so I have to ask,
spectacular.
Do you know how many miles we went and hiked? The Inca Trail, 26 miles.
Yes.
Do you remember seeing the guys who were running on the trail? Like they were just running?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a marathon.
Yeah.
I've read that there is a marathon.
Yeah, which is crazy.
That's insane. I can't even imagine.
I can't even imagine.
Day 2. Can you imagine running that?
Nope.
In one day?
Nope.
Plus some?
No. But I absolutely loved it though when we went through the Sun Gate and we just kind of stood up at the top of the trail going down into Machu Picchu, just kind of really taking in the entire view. And we were there for a little while before we went down.
We took lots of pictures.
Now,
there.
what was really funny was when we went actually into Machu Picchu, we didn't stay there too long because...
Thank God.
Yeah, because the following day we were coming back for like a more in-depth tour. But it was hysterical seeing like how many young girls were like in their Instagram outfits. Like, I mean, we're grubby. We've been hiking for 4 days.
And they're like in kitten heels.
Kitten heels. And there's a bus that you can take from the town and actually make your way up this, serpentine road. And, there are a lot of people taking Instagram pictures there.
It is, Machu Picchu is a tourist destination. It's like going, to the Colosseum in Rome. My one ask is that if you guys are going there to Machu Picchu and not hiking, please just be aware of the people around you.
With backpacks and...
Because if people are coming in from hiking on that trail, they've just had this very, very spiritual experience and have been away from all social media and all kind of the topical things of the world. So coming back to things that are just ridiculous, it just hits weird. So just be respectful of the people around you. And if you see people with backpacks, maybe let them take their pictures and go about their way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they worked really hard to get there.
Yes.
Like really hard.
And then after we were done, kind of walking around just for a little bit, we ended up hopping on the bus to go back down to our hotel, which we were going to be checking into. And you guys went and found like beers to like grab on the bus.
We always find the beer.
Yeah, which was funny.
Which thank God, because
that ride down.
That was
scary as hell.
And not only did we have the ride down, but then we rode back, and then we rode back down the next day.
We did that twice.
We did that 3 times.
3 times.
That is the
scariest road. It's scary. It's
daunting bus ride I have ever done in my life.
That was scarier than roads in Ireland.
Yeah.
Yeah, on a big bus.
It's terrifying.
On a big bus. But we lived to tell about it. So then we stayed at the Inca Trail Machu Picchu Pueblo Hotel. That's a mouthful.
Which is in Aguas Caliente.
Aguas Caliente. Yeah, that's hot water.
That's the little town at the base of the hill.
Oh, it's such a cute little mountain town. I mean, it totally caters to tourists because there's a lot of like little markets. But man, we did the most excellent no shower happy hour.
It was beautiful.
Yeah, and we did
wine. We drank a lot of wine,
like a really great red wine because it was cool.
So good.
It was cool out, and
didn't we also see a cock of the rock at the hotel? I believe they had a few on the hotel grounds. So this is it's the bird of Peru, and it is the most beautiful orangey red bird that you have ever seen.
Yeah, they had some like out in the garden area.
Yeah.
That we were able to go and see. But yeah, and then we had a very, very I would say we had a very, very lovely dinner. That was it was very joyful. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at that.
I think we had a lot of no shower happy hour and went right into dinner.
But then the next day we were able to go and do an in-depth tour of Machu Picchu, which I really appreciated.
Yeah.
And I do you remember the Dave was standing in front of me. He turns around and he starts taking pictures of me, and I'm like smiling. But then like Dave kept taking pictures, and I'm like, okay, this is weird now. I didn't realize that there was a llama like right over my shoulder. Like it was like right, like he was like ready to breathe on me. Thank God it didn't spit on me. But Dave's like taking pictures of this llama, and I'm like, oh my God, that is so freaking funny. I had no idea.
No, it was right there. And you wonder how it gets up there.
Yes. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Machu Picchu is so beautiful.
Yeah.
It's just amazing.
Yeah.
It's so worth the trip.
And then we went back to Cusco.
Yeah. Day. We took the train. Well, we took the train to Ollantaytambo and then bussed from there back to Cusco.
Back to Cusco, right.
And when we got into Cusco, I think we got in late, spent the night at this beautiful, what was it, the Andean...
Casa Andina Premium Hotel. It was very beautiful.
Very gorgeous.
I just remember
hotel.
like them having on the inside of the hotel a beautiful courtyard.
Oh, it was beautiful.
Yes, kind of open air.
I feel like they had a nice bar there too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the next day, we kind of had a tour of one of the local ruins, and then we had a walking tour of Cusco. But when we came back into Cusco, if I can, another recommendation here, go early, mid-June.
You have to.
Leading up to the summer solstice is the only time I would want to go onto this trip.
And why is that, Lori?
Because they have the most amazing cultural experience that you can witness there. There are all sorts of festivities. When we went back in, what date was that? Like the 6th?
This is 10th. The 10th of June.
Oh, sorry. It was the 10th of June of 2019. So I don't know what day of the week it was. I'm going to assume it was a weekend. But when we got back into town, I like wept.
Yeah.
It was so touching. They had the kids out.
From all the different towns.
From all the different local towns in the area.
Yes.
They had kids that had learned all these little dances, that traditional dances, and they were dressed up in traditional garb.
And their traditional garb was indicative of what town they were from.
Yes.
So all the kids were in the same like costume or garb to represent their towns.
Yes, and they had each little troop had their own dance, and they marched as a parade in front of the judges, did their little dance.
And they were so cute. Like some of them were like 4 and 5 years old.
But it seriously felt like we were witnessing their culture.
Yeah.
It's just what they do. This had nothing to do with tourists or...
It's like it would be like watching like a 4th of July parade, right? But it was so that's like something for us in the United States. But to witness this. And I remember that a large part of the group went to a pizza place that they wanted to go to because they were dying for pizza. And you, Dave, Jim, and I decided to find a restaurant that was on the 2nd story.
Yes.
And we had a very, very traditional Peruvian meal, which Peruvian food is freaking phenomenal.
It really is.
But we got to see, like, we were like sitting right over like the judge's stand. So we got to see like where all the kids would stop and then do their dances.
Hans Homemade. That was the name of the...
Hans Homemade.
Yes, I think we had some pisco sours.
Yes.
And some beers.
Yeah.
Yes. It was it was perfect. As a matter of fact, when my mom and I went back like a week and a half later.
Didn't they have the adults dancing?
The adults were doing, but they had like big floats.
Oh.
They were really decked out with the floats, but it was all adults. And we went back to the same place because it was, on the 2nd story and a bird's eye view of the whole thing.
And you know what I appreciated too when we first, before we saw the kids like dancing, so they were all like kind of teed up. It almost reminded me of like the Mummers Parade, where everybody's kind of teed up and ready to go and be on the move.
Yep.
But you had parents, taking care of their kids and stuff. But the people were so willing to like have us taking pictures. Like we would ask, like, can I take a picture? And the kids would pose for us, and so I don't know. I just felt like they were very accepting of us, like appreciating, like this event that they were, all participating in.
Yeah.
So, which I loved. So that was like our last day, at least for Jim and I, our last full day in Peru. And then we flew out the following day, and we ended up flying from Lima to Quebec. And then Quebec to Philly, and we ended up getting stuck in Quebec
Ooh.
for a really, really long time. We had issues getting our flight into Philly. So, true to form, Jim and I ponied up at a bar. We went and grabbed some good food, and it was the Women's World Cup that was starting at that time. So the women, I believe they played Japan, and they won something like 13-1. And we were like, dude, we need to go to the World Cup. Like, we need to go to the finals. So, because this was June. Right. And then the World Cup was maybe like in July or something. So Jim and I, like, right on the spot, we get like tickets to go to freaking Lyon, France. And that was like we were slightly intoxicated in the airport. And then for the rest of the games, we were like hedging, like, oh my God, we really want to see like the women play like in the finals, and they did get there.
That's so amazing.
But that all happened because we got stuck coming from Peru.
Oh darn, that's so terrible. I feel so bad.
But you stayed an extra 2 weeks. So what were some key highlights for you?
So we went from there to Iquitos, and we stayed at this Explorama Lodge, which was kind of it's kind of like an eco lodge. So it came with like, all of the little excursions. And I would say the highlights, I was a little disappointed in that part, because that's in Iquitos, and that's like the Amazon River. And it felt like I was not as thrilled with the wildlife. I expected to see more than I did. What I did see that was cool was we got to fish for piranha.
Which is kind of cool.
Which is cool. I got a cleansing from a shaman, which was also kind of cool. We got to go see an indigenous tribe, and it was kind of interesting, hearing them talk about like how the young kids want to leave, but they're trying to preserve their heritage. I got to try a blowgun. They had baby sloths there.
Oh, when you guys were sending the pictures of the baby sloths, and I was like, Jim, we should have stayed the second week.
Oh my God, yes. The baby sloth is a highlight.
Yeah.
And so that was just, for a few days. And then we flew back to Lima, and then everybody left, and my mom flew in.
Oh, and Nana.
My mom is, just to make it quick, my mom is not outdoorsy at all. But
yeah, we said like kind of like beach casual, for Memorial Day weekend, and your mom came like
in
with
a button-down shirt,
with like pearls and stuff, and I was and you were like, this is my mom's casual,
so
I'm like, wait, you brought your mom into like the freaking Amazon?
I did. So
Poor Nana.
And I felt bad because I didn't at the time know that you should leave Cuzco to go to Ollantaytambo when you first arrive. So Nana flew in, we flew to Cuzco, and we stayed in Cuzco. Nana couldn't breathe.
Yeah.
So she was on oxygen.
Do you remember the one lady that when we were in in a bar one night, she was sitting on a bar stool and then completely just passed out.
She got up. She tried to get up and
she tried to get up and she completely hit the floor. And the guys behind the bar, they came right around and had a big oxygen tank with a big old mask and put it on her, and she was fine within like 5 minutes.
Yeah,
and we were like, oh shit.
Yeah, but they're like, it happens all the time.
Yep.
Which is crazy to me.
Yeah.
So when my mom came, God bless her, I asked her to step outside her comfort zone. So we spent a few days at a Hilton Garden. I'm like softening her up, like, look, this is normal. And we spent a day in Cuzco and, did the same explorations and got to see the parade. And then we went to a place with local trekkers, I think the company was called, down to Manu National Park. Now, I would have foregone Iquitos had I known what this was. Now, this is not bougie. This was extremely rustic. We had mosquito nets.
Oh, your mom had to love that.
Yeah, she hated it.
Yeah.
There was, but it was for me, who's outdoorsy. I mean, it was on the edge. Like, on one side of the river, there were indigenous tribes. They're like, you can't go over there. They legally are allowed to kill you. Legally. Because you're on their land. Like, people don't go over there because there are indigenous tribes there that do not know. They know the modern world exists. They're not a part of it. This side, we're cool. That side, no go.
It's kind of like the Amish.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it is.
I don't know about that.
But it was just really cool to be kind of that deep. And, oh, my God, like birds that we were hunting for in the Amazon, we went to this little lake. I saw 50.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
So, like, the wildlife there was perfection. And it's on the east side of the Andes. So we actually went into Cuzco and descended on the opposite side. So that was super cool. Then we went from there and we flew to Puno and went to Lake Titicaca. If you get the chance to do this, this is cool because this is actually, they have a city and a village on the lake. These people have learned from centuries, from when the Spanish came in, the Inca actually fled to the lake and learned to live hidden in the reeds. And so they have floating islands that they live on, and they have to replace the reeds. Stay at Amalia Titicaca Lodge. It is a homestay. Juan is the owner. He had kids. They were young. They're probably older now. But it was magnificent. He showed us the whole thing. He took me out fishing. You got to the village. They showed you how they make their homes. It is such a cool experience.
And that's what I really love about like trips like this, where you can immerse yourself enough where, you know, you get to really know the people and you know, and just what makes them tick and what kind of music they listen to and, you know, what do they do in their pastime. And I don't know, it's just, it just makes you appreciate your day to day, but also you kind of learn some new things too from other people.
Gosh.
You know?
I mean, it was amazing.
Yeah.
And the family was so nice.
I love that.
It was really it was a beautiful property on a floating island.
Yeah, I remember your pictures. I was like, oh man, you got Nana on that?
Oh my God. She loved it. That was actually one of her favorite stops.
Okay.
Even though it was a little rough, I think it kind of opened her. I appreciated the fact that she liked it that much. Because I was like, that's cool. And then I made Nana feel good. We flew to Arequipa, which is this lovely little town that's like at the foot of a volcano. And it is just, like we stayed at the Qatari Hotel, which was super hot, it was just very nice. And they had like a rooftop bar. We got to hang out. But there was a cool monastery there.
You put a good exclamation point at the end of that. Because if you had left it with the mosquito nets, she would have
I started really nice with the Hilton, with the Hilton Garden Inn. And then we descended. And then I kind of slowly brought her back out into civilization. But it was such a special trip. And Peru is an amazing and special place. And the 3 weeks. That's what I say. You need 3 weeks. Do it.
Yeah, if you have vacation time for that.
I just wish, the only regret I have is not going to Colca Canyon. There's a really beautiful, like, striped mountains.
Oh, that sounds beautiful.
That are supposedly gorgeous, and I did not get to see that.
Yeah. All right, so would you go again?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go topically. I would do the Inca Trail again.
Yeah.
And I would then go revisit places. I kind of feel like I checked Peru off.
Yeah, I know. I like if it was one of those things where somebody was going to pay the trip for me, I was like, yeah, sure. But I think what it opened up my eyes to is my next place down in South America, and you know this because I sent you guys a friggin' chat the other day is Patagonia.
Yeah.
And
I want to hike the O.
Yeah, that is definitely on my
Torres del Paine.
Yeah, that is definitely on my list of places to go now. So, but this was like a nice dip the toe, into the South American culture, and there's definitely some really really cool places to go and adventure too.
Yeah, but if Maddie's like, Mom, I really want to do the Inca Trail, will you come with me?
Oh yeah, I would totally do it with her.
Yeah.
Same. Yeah. If she really wanted to go and do it, I would do it again.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, what are we talking about next week?
Next week, we have a really cool local interview.
Yay.
We're all, me, Maggie, Laura, we're running the Blob running fest. We're running the half marathon. So a little local lore, the 1950 something-ish film, The Blob, was actually filmed in Phoenixville at one of the theaters. Is part of it, is filmed locally in this area. Anyway, we have a run that is themed there, and we will be interviewing their race director next week.
Yay. Yeah. So that'll be really, really fun.
Yep.
Alrighty.
Yep. So we want to thank everybody for joining us today.
And Kona.
Thank you, Kona.
Kona the dog.
Yes. And thank you for letting us ramble on, because we had such a good time in Peru. It was amazing.
And if you are listening to this episode and you want us to send you more details about our itinerary, any of the details, we'll be more than happy to go and share those with you. And Kona's excited that we're actually almost done because she's mauling Lori right now.
Well, so go make mile 20 your bitch, right, Kona?
Peace out.
Bye.